Welcome, everybody, to Tea Transitions, the podcast where women share their journeys of building a life abroad. I'm Rosie.
Hi, I'm Farah Baker.
And
Go ahead.
We've been chatting the whole day.
Yeah.
This podcast is all about career pivots to cultural shifts. We spotlight stories of change created by my own personal experience moving from Singapore to the United States 25 years ago.
So whether you're starting afresh or in the middle of your journey or planning a journey, you're in the right place. So let's get going. Our guest for today is Leanne. Leanne's based in Bangkok. She's from Seattle, Leanne, I believe.
Yeah, I'm from Seattle, Washington, or near there.
Welcome. So give us a little snippet about your background and what leads you to move to where you are today.
Oh, that's a story. So just I want to introduce. So my name is Liana. Liana.
Sorry about that.
You're okay. Kind of just like Rihanna. That's okay. I've been in Thailand for so long. Thai people always change my name from Liana to Rihanna. And so I respond to both. Yeah, but I'm originally from a small town 4 hours east of Seattle called the Tri-Cities, Washington State. In the inland Northwest. And my journey started off with several scholarships and grants. My first scholarship moved me to South Africa at 20 years old, all by myself. And I had to, a stipulation of the grant was I had to travel alone and I couldn't go to a place that I'd been before. So at 20, it was my first time ever traveling abroad by myself was to move to South Africa for 1 year.
How was that experience?
The hardest thing I've ever done. I think at that age was definitely the hardest thing I'd ever done, and it's still pretty up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's real. There were so many culture shocks. A really funny one being that I grew up in a town that's mostly white and Hispanic. It's less than 1% of people are Black. So going to South Africa was such a culture shock because I wasn't used to seeing so many Black people and so many people that it was, and that was the first thing that kind of struck me. Yeah, and then from there, when I graduated from university 2 years later, I got a Fulbright to go and work on behalf of the U.S. Embassy teaching English in Chennai, India.
Wow, very impressive.
Congrats.
Yeah, thank you. And so while in between those, there were a few study abroads that I had done. I actually turned 19 in Thailand because it was the first country I ever visited. With my university, we were doing research, and I was researching nationalism actually, and so I had been to Thailand once before, and when I moved to India, I vacationed in Thailand and again by myself, and I really liked it. And a year later from that, I moved here, and I've been here for 9 years as of this year.
Okay. Now you throughout the move, you were studying, and then finally you relocated to Thailand. Was that for work specifically?
Yes, when I relocated to Thailand, it was definitely for work.
Okay. So are you still working in that field right now?
Yes, I'm still in the field, still a teacher. Yes.
Okay, cool. So your gig, because we saw a video of you performing online, and it's a comedy. You are a stand-up comedian.
Yes. That's something
that all started because it's hard.
Yeah, I think I'm a bit luckier because I've had a public speaking background. Like when I was in high school, I was a part of like several public speaking organizations, and then president of my debate team. So I already had like the formal training of speaking, which I think is probably 50%. It was just the element of like having to make people laugh that was extremely challenging. And and so it's one thing where I'm like lucky that I had that training, but also, yes, it still is challenging every time.
Mm. Now, when you relocated to, okay, South Africa was one culture shock. As you say, you've never been surrounded by a lot of Black people in a
Yeah.
way. And when you move to, how many other countries were there in between before you ended up in Bangkok?
Visiting or living?
Living.
Living, just India and South Africa.
Okay,
Those
how
are-
was India for you?
India
That-
was great. I love India. I smile so big because every time I think of India, I traveled through 15 cities in India.
Wow.
And I lived in I stayed for a month in Mumbai. I lived in Chennai, and I lived a couple months up in the Himalayan mountains.
Wow.
India makes you work for it. Like it requires like full assimilation immediately.
Mm.
So if you can get over like the initial shock, because I know a lot of people are like, "Oh my gosh, India, how was it?" And I loved it. I had a great, but I also really committed. Like I wore a sari or a salwar kameez every day. And I like fully tried to make my lifestyle as different from the lifestyle I had back in the US. So I had a good time.
Maybe that's a little bit about reaching out to the community. I know language barrier will definitely be a concern, but at the same time too, I haven't been to India, but I do know from my research they are so welcoming, tourists, very warm welcome. But in your own experience, how's that transition? Your communication with them, how does that look like back then?
Oh man. So I'm lucky that like 50% of India is English speaking, but the other 50% is a heavy presence. So you had language barriers at some points in time, but Indian culture is definitely opposite to Thai culture in the way that people, if they're curious, they'll come up and they'll start speaking to you.
Yes.
And
They're not
they'll want to
shy.
have a conversation and start
Mhm.
engaging you. So it was really assimilating was a lot easier because people were like, "Oh, do you live around here? Why don't you come to my house for dinner?" When I started, when I was working at a school, and I also was working at an NGO once a week when I lived there. And for both of those experiences, the staff were extremely welcoming. And yeah, but also, I feel like, especially if you go to smaller town India, they're very insistent that you assimilate.
Yeah,
So,
I can imagine.
yeah.
Yeah. I am half Indian, so, and I have family in the south of India, so I kind of know how that is. I don't think I can live in India growing up in Singapore. You know how
Yeah.
different it is, because
Yeah.
it's from a village and all that. So I understand that. Now, did you have in any way problems with the food, or was there something that stick out to you that was, say, not very pleasant or negative
In India?
in India? Yeah.
Oh, so many things.
Really?
So yeah, it was not an easy life. Like I don't want to like make it seem like a fairy tale.
Yeah.
You would always have just like very unexpected experiences. Like everyone knows like the toilets in India are like you have to like say a little prayer and prepare yourself because they
Yeah.
can be really rough.
Mhm.
But I've been in the countryside in India where like I went in the bathroom and I didn't turn on the light because I was like, I don't want to say it. I don't want to see it.
Yeah.
And then I turned the light on to leave, and there were massive lizards all over the ceiling.
Oh my God.
I had to go like this because
Yeah.
if you scare them, they're all gonna down. And so of course in that moment you're like, I hate this country, I hate it. And then like 2 days later you'll be like walking down the street and you'll see like a family and they'll stop and talk to you and like help you with the language and stuff, and then you feel like it's okay again. But it's that roller coaster the whole time. I don't think it ever left me.
Yeah. I think that
Yeah.
it's it's so easy to feel safe and stay within the expatriate community when you go to any country, because it's kind of like familiar and there is a certain standard that is retained, so to speak, even living in Thailand. But if you want to assimilate into a country, you can disagree with me here, but you really have to go with the local to find out
Yeah.
what things are like, for the real country. We're not talking your secluded expatriate lifestyle abroad, And I think you went all the way out there and found out
You're
for
brave.
yourself. Yeah.
Very brave.
Yeah. I was so if we go back a little bit, when I first traveled abroad, it was when I was 18, I came to Thailand and India, and I was with a program through my school called Institute of Village Studies. So for 2 months we were in like village India and village Thailand. Like I was in Mesot, like we were in very, very rural places. And so that was a really good training, because if you could survive 2 months on that trip, you can, like, I remember one of my second day in Thailand, we stayed at a guest house in Mesot, and we were like, oh, we're ready to check in our rooms, and the guy was like sleeping on a hammock. He was like, oh, okay. And then so he goes, he's like staying in like one of those raised houses, so he goes to the bottom of the raised house and pulls the mattress off the dirt, no layer, pulls the mattress off the dirt, puts it in our room and puts a sheet on it, and is like, okay.
Here you go. Oh my God.
Yeah. And so we were, and I stayed in like we sort of stayed in an orphanage for 2 weeks on the border of Burma and Thailand, because we were studying like the Korean resettlement in Thailand, Thai refugee camps and stuff. And it could be a rough transition for orphans in particular, because refugee camps aren't appropriate. So we stayed there, and it was like being an avatar. There were so many insects I'd never seen.
Wow.
And there wasn't even a 7-Eleven in the town. There was like the orphanage, house. Every meal we had, you could hear them like cutting the head off the chicken. Like it was really. So I had that experience. So when it was time for me to study, or time for me to like travel India by myself, I was like, okay, I have standards. I was like, the room will be nice. And then I will put myself out of my comfort zone in every other way. But I need like just the basic, like, safe feeling of safety.
Yeah.
Have you ever take some time to do a self-reflection throughout your journey, right? As a person, kind of telling yourself, I'm glad I did all of this, because now I see the world in a different perspective. Because I travel, before I moved to the US, I work for a travel agency, and I travel to so many countries that living in Singapore, in a small, tiny city, immediately opened up my eyes and my heart to say that Singapore is not where I want to end up living, but it has to be of a certain criteria that align to my own personal preference. What does that look like for you? Did it open up your eyes to say, this is going to be the world that I live, not necessarily in India or in Seattle, but what does that look like for you?
That's a really good question. So first, I have taken time to reflect, but even as I'm talking to you, like memories are coming up. I'm realizing I probably need to do more. But it has set, like, I'm very much so like you. The more I've seen the world, because I've been to about 21 countries, like in between this time, I had the very unique experience of, I was at university for 4 years, but 2 of those years were abroad. And then from that time, I've lived outside of the US. I've only lived for a year and a half in the US since I was 22. So most of my time has been like solidly out of the US. And so every time I like come back to the US and see family and stuff like that, I just have like certain things that are now my standard, especially, 9 years or 10 years of that time being in Asia. Like we don't really deal with, like, I feel safe most of the time. Like any time of the day, I feel safe. I know that's different. It depends on what your experience is and stuff. Cause I know like some Thai women, they have very different experiences than I would have. So I'm just saying, for me, I feel safe. And of course, when I lived in South Africa, it was extreme. Like it was such a beautiful country, but you have to really change your life to accommodate for the high crime rate. Like there's just so much stuff that you cannot do. Like I couldn't even take like a 7-minute walk from the beach to my house at night because, and there was one time that I did and I had so much trouble. Like, so I have safety standards, like it needs to be like safe. And I also have just from a heart perspective, I want to be able my values to align with the people that I'm living around. Because I'm from very, very conservative USA, like Trump signs everywhere when I was home last year. Yeah, and I just I have a lot more compassion for people than that. I've seen that there's so much more nuance. Like I get annoyed when you tell someone something bad and they go, "Well, they should have worn their seatbelt." And it's like, okay, but you know,
That's justification, right?
No.
You just cut it.
No.
split second. It means that you really can't empathize with people, you know? Yeah, so I have to be in a country where Thailand is such a safe place for you to be gay or transgender, because I transgender people in the US I worry about because people be so I don't know, just so so I just know the countries I think that I would feel comfortable with and compatible as far as my morals, and the countries that I don't. US, we are really shifting farther and farther apart. Yeah.
Unfortunately, yeah. I mean, we are still lucky enough. We're in Northern Virginia, so it's pretty liberal to a degree. But you know, we totally understand where you're coming from with regards to that.
We're with you. I'm with you.
Yeah. We know. Now that you are in Thailand, do you think that is where you will be for the foreseeable future, or do you think you sound like a wanderer and a traveler and explorer?
No. The more I listen to her, it seems like you have that magic wand, the invisible magic wand. Ding! Everything is, I got this. I can do this. Because your earlier journey have trained you is so much that you can handle the challenge, sounded like.
I think so. As long as I have a few moments to internally rage. Just to get it all out. And I feel like I got this. Because to answer your question, I do have I would love to work in China just because that's such a it's a country that has so many misconceptions as far as how people see it from the outside. And then the conflicting stories of people who live there who are like, no, it's awesome. So I would definitely like to explore more of Asia, maybe even more Eastern Asia, since I've been in Southeast Asia for a while. I might move 1 or 2 other times. I think life building is so difficult that I don't think I want to do it more too many more times. But with that said, I could see myself retiring in Thailand because I spent my whole 20s here. So I would be
language.
Yes and no. I speak probably 40% with a comprehension of between 35 and 40%, but that leaves a lot out. So I've been working a lot harder in the last couple of months to improve.
So, but at least you're trying, and you know what you need to do. We spoke to someone recently with regards to, looking inward and understanding what you need and where you want to be in your life, where even if you transplant yourself to another city, another country, you are good, you are fine, because you know yourself well enough, and like you say, all those standards that you set for yourself, that's knowing yourself, correct? Understanding what you need, and okay, these are the basics. I'm not going to go, I'm not compromising on all this because I took that journey already and I'm here. This is who I am. This is what I look like.
Been there, done that. So your next journey has to be seamless and ease and stress-free, I guess.
I feel like I'm so much of a realist. I could never expect those things for the first 6 months. For the 6 months, I feel like every time I move to another country, the first 6 months is between a mixture of oh my God, internal rage. Oh my God, that's so beautiful, internal rage. And so
Tell us then, emotionally, how does that roller coaster feel like today? Are you still going
Uh,
through that or manageable?
no, not really. And I think that's what's kind of making me feel a bit of angst because I don't feel like things are so comfortable now. Like when I see an address in Thai, I only need to see the first couple of words and I'm like, oh, that's over there, you know? Like I don't, there's not a lot of mystery left. Not there's of course there is, but you know, there's not like a lot of like how to live here mystery.
Mm, mm.
Yeah.
So,
You know.
do you think you would come back to the US eventually?
No, I think because I'm someone who is, I studied politics. I love like law and policy. So I think that I'm pretty informed, especially about the things that I care about, like
Yeah.
cost of living, like social. Luckily, I'm from Washington, which has a very strong social safety net. But with that said, we are at like the will of the federal government ultimately. So changes in the federal government do like affect people and
Yeah.
pretty immediately. And so even like healthcare premiums, people are like, "Oh, I'm paying 3 times." I've lived I've had too much stability in my life to get a bill that's immediately 3 times higher than you know.
Yeah, it doesn't
There's
make
no-
sense for you to do that when you are right now coping everything manageable and probably the healthcare services are better than us.
Washington's healthcare services are pretty spectacular. I feel like that's the only thing that I might long for. Uh, but with that said, just as a comparison to like healthcare premiums hiking, I remember during COVID, they like the government was like, "Oh, let me take care of like a portion of your electric bill, like 2/3 or something like that, because it's COVID-19, so you're going to be at home a lot. So we don't want like the AC bill to thing." So I was definitely using like $100 worth of air conditioning for sure, but my bills were like my bills were like $20 the
Wow.
whole time, or just like regulating inflation for a couple of years. I believe that it was the king who did that to keep Thai prices the same, relatively the same. And so now we're starting to see like the consequences, or starting in 2023, like the consequences and seeing the inflation creep
Yeah.
up. The society was really supportive in the interim. So I just like being in a country that like thinks about me. Like, thank you.
Yeah.
You know.
The journey when we take going abroad and living abroad, not as a holiday maker, where
Yeah.
you experience everything. In your
Yeah.
case, going through that thing, the bills, and then realizing, oh, they're taking care of me. Someone's looking out. They understand that we will be affected, and that plays such a huge role.
Yeah.
As such, it should widen you as a person. That
Yeah.
knowledge to realize that there are other places to live apart from where you were born in. Some people don't want to take that step because they're so worried about, but this is my familiar. This is the best. I'm
Yeah.
sure you know this, right? This is the best.
Well, I'm sure you guys have had that experience. Like sometimes I'll stop, like when I'm really having a good time with someone that's not from my hometown. Sometimes I stop and I'm like, wow, if I would have never done that, we would never have this. And
Yes.
some of these relationships are like 10 years old. People like my best friend, I met her in South Africa. I lived there in 2014. So that's 12 years ago now. Like, and I couldn't imagine my life without her. So I feel like when people are afraid to leave their comfort zone, you have to think of like who's waiting to love you and where.
That's a great perspective. We've not heard that one.
That's a $1 million question. Who's there to love you? That's good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I feel so blessed. Yeah, I think that's the best. The people make the place. And I think that and I'm sure like coming from, because I've been to Singapore once, it seems very
You can say it,
structured.
girl. We won't be offended. You can say it. It's okay.
Well, a lot of like the adjectives I hear is people say it feels like very sanitized.
Sanitized.
Yeah. it does feel like things have a place, no gum, use the crosswalk.
Mhm.
Yeah, like almost like Japan, but not as rigid. That's
Yeah, correct.
uh yeah,
But
and
did
so
you have a good time while in Singapore, even with all of that?
yeah, I did. I just so now where I work, I have like maybe 75% Chinese students because I'm in the Chinese area. And so it's the same thing as when I was in Singapore. Like Chinese people are so direct, and not even in Seattle, we're not very direct people at all. We're very passive. So I just noticed people were like, okay, like $5. I'm like, okay, have it, and then no small talk, no anything, just
That's it. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
It is, Singapore is quite regimented to a degree. And I try explaining that when I came to the US initially, and they're like, oh, yeah, but you have no freedom. The topic is, there's no freedom in Singapore. I said, there's freedom to a degree, but you have to
Yeah.
understand what Singapore is all about. We have nothing. We have only people in Singapore. And that has to grow and that has to be taken care of because, a lot of people invest their money in Singapore and that's how we are. That trust has to be there. If everybody can run wild with all the freedom in the world, can you imagine little Singapore?
No, never.
That's the reason why Singapore is Singapore. Let's put it that way. We are fully, we know that the shortcomings, but then again, we've lived places, so we can make that comparison.
Yeah, definitely. I
Mm.
wanted to say, I meant to ask you a little earlier. So when I was in Chennai, I studied Tamil. So when I went to Singapore, it was amazing to hear it on the
Yes.
MRT.
Yeah. Because the majority of the Indians in Singapore came from the Tamil Nadu area. My father was from Kerala, so just
Okay.
next to So
Yeah, I
he's
know.
a Malayali, and he speaks Malayalam. But when you're in school in Singapore, if you were classified as Indian like I was, you're supposed to study Tamil. That was not
Okay.
my mother tongue. So my father refused to let us study Tamil. He didn't think it would work for us, So we studied Chinese because the majority, politically. Yeah.
Yeah. Or
That worked out. Yeah.
oh, okay. That's my I only have two places I want to go in India still. It's Kerala and Jaipur. Because
Jaipur is beautiful. Kerala is beautiful. Yeah.
yeah, and Kerala has that beautiful Kerala sari. I've wanted it for years with the white sari with the gold
Borders,
gold
yeah.
lining at the
Mhm.
yeah.
Leanna, does all of these places you visited with different cultures and values change you?
I think for the time being, it could. Yeah, I think that when I was I was in South Africa, I had to like definitely be so much more like spatially aware and a bit more confrontational. So, but as soon as I left, I was like, I like that's not me. I don't like that. Maybe that goes to your point of like figuring out who I am. But I'm pretty like what's the word? I guess I can be pretty flexible when it comes to like other people's expectations. Like as long as it's dignified, and it doesn't feel like any sort of ist or ism, I'm pretty much willing to do what people feel is appropriate.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if I can't like wear my Western clothes on like in the daylight, then I will wear a sari, that's fine, or I will, so I don't have any like any sort of resistance to assimilation. I think people who struggle are the people who are really like my way or the highway, and they try to bring that everywhere.
Yeah, and that makes it very difficult to assimilate, because you're not willing to adapt in any shape or form. You cannot bring that exact same needs and wants to a foreign country.
Correct.
You have to be able to roll with it, right?
Adaptable.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sounds like you are very adaptable. I would love to see you in a sari. Send us a picture.
I have so many. Yeah. Yeah, I think I was thinking about some things that we might talk about when I came on here, but I think that just as women, it's so like I'm just looking at US history, like it still baffles me that a woman wasn't able to have a credit card or a bank account until 1972. So I think there's something so special of being like generation, because my mom was born in 1977. So to be like a generation or so out of like where out of that where women like can own property, have these rights, go to school, have an education, work, like it's not even a situation where people are like, oh, I don't hire women. It's like, all right, you work, we don't pay you as much sometimes, but there's like that glass ceiling has been lifted in
Yeah.
some way. So I think like if you bring travel into that and then you bring travel and identity into that, like I feel so honored that I was like the first person in my family in 400 years to return to the African continent. That meant a
Wow.
lot,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And to do it at 20, like I don't have to wait till I was like old and this is like my trip
Yeah.
of a
Yes.
lifetime sort of thing, and live there, not like go on a vacation for 2 weeks, but
Mhm.
like invest and live there and try to, so I think that every woman like owes it to herself to try to like, even like if you can, because it's like a financial thing, but if you can just like take a month somewhere outside of your country, because I think it shows you just like how strong you are when you overcome something.
Yeah.
And with that said, this is a segue to remind everybody that we are close to timing. But what would your advice be for our listeners out there as a single woman travel, right? What do you think? Today we have social media, we have all of the gadgets to give us some sense of information on our fingertips whenever we go, wherever we go. But what do you think is important today as a single woman or even as a group if you're traveling elsewhere for the first time? What would that be?
Number one, I like I guess on a more serious note, like trust your intuition, like if it feels odd or weird or something, because sometimes as women, like we prioritize politeness over our own safety. So if it feels like, oh, I need to get out there, like please trust that instinct. After being abroad can tell you crazy stories where I was like, no, I'll be fine. No, don't worry, I'll be fine. Even though I felt like it wouldn't be fine. And then, whoa, it wasn't fine.
Yeah.
Type of thing. So I'd say trust your intuition. I got some advice from a mentor when I was getting ready to move to South Africa. And she said that when she goes abroad for an extended time, she has like a say yes policy. Like if it's not unsafe and it won't put you in like any sort of weird situation, like if someone says, oh, do you want to come to my uncle's birthday party in the countryside? Yeah. Or do you want to like especially for that 6 months, because it's really hard to live someplace that you don't have any support system, no friends you can go
Yeah.
over, no colleagues you can like text to have coffee, like you don't know anyone. And so the first year, the first year is like your investment time, and the second year you start to bloom those relationships. But to really enjoy like a place, you'll have to commit probably, like to say, oh, I lived there, I had an experience, at least 2 or 3 years before you start seeing that like labor. Like I got into comedy to challenge myself, yeah, but also to make friends. And I
Yeah.
met some great people, and yeah, people of like similar interests. So always say yes, and oh my God, get a credit card where you can earn points. Yeah, because
Very
I found
practical.
We were just talking about it last night.
I've wasted I looked at all my flights I've ever taken in my life, and I've spent 3 weeks of my life on a plane, right? And claimed 0 of those miles.
Oh,
Oh,
Could you imagine?
oh,
I have
that's great.
to get one. Chase Sapphire's great.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate your time. We appreciate sharing with us your stories. I bet your journey will continue to be a success and such an enjoyment. Continue your journey. This is so beautiful for you. I'm so happy for you.
I would
And
love to find out where you eventually end up.
Ended, yeah.
I know this journey has
That's
not
right.
ended yet.
No, it's just beginning. You're floating, girl. Spread the wings. And China
Right.
is bigger. China is bigger
Yeah.
than Bangkok. You can do it there too.
Yeah, it'll just be another a challenge.
Yeah.
Skills.
Awesome.
Well,
But I just wanted
go
sorry.
ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I just wanted to say before we run out of time, thank you so much for inviting me here. This is a beautiful conversation, and thank you for thinking of me too.
You're welcome. Thank you for being with us.
We just want to continue sharing stories, unheard stories, to uplift, to empower women out there. Because as you know, we can be so timid and quiet, but inside us, there's so much desire and passion. So hopefully, viewers can listen to your stories and it will be a nudge for them. If she can do it, I can do it too.
Yeah, that's
You know? Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, before we end, if you believe in amplifying women's voices, please hit subscribe and join us every Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube.
Yeah.
Follow us on Instagram for updates and behind the scenes moments. If you want to be a guest, please DM or email us at hello@ttransitions.com. Thank you, Liana, for being part of our community. We are ever so grateful.
Sawadika.
Yes, Sawadika. And keep showing up as your true self. And good luck on your journey until we talk to you the next time.
And let's stay connected. Okay.
yes,
Take
of
care.
course.
You go. Yeah.
Take care. See you soon.
See you soon. Thank you guys.